Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Comic Swag. For those of you that are new here, welcome. Now, today we're going to be covering X-Men issues 97, 98, 99, all the way up to issue 100. So, these issues will take place from starting February of 1976, ending in May of 1976. Now, this issue starts off with Professor Xavier having these reoccurring nightmares of space, and there's this big galactic war going on, and he keeps having these nightmares, and he says they're getting stronger, so he thinks it's some kind of omen. And Moira McTaggart is telling him, well, maybe you're just stressed out, you work too hard, and they come to the conclusion that he needs a vacation, some time off to just unwind. So he will be leaving the X-Men for a while, and he'll be leaving Moira McTaggart in charge as the leader. Professor Xavier, he has hinted at being at space or talking about space in previous issues. So this is all kind of sowing the seeds for the future. So then we get back to Alex Summer and Lorna Dane, aka Havoc and Polaris. So they're a couple. They're living out, in some small town and what have regular 9 to 5 jobs, living a happy life. And then, bam! All of a sudden, when Havoc goes off to work, Lorna Dane gets attacked by somebody. It's off panel. We do not see who it is, but we see a shadow. So this causes for concern. Havoc heard the shot. He comes running back and he says, "Oh, Lorna, you seem to be fine." So she's messing with this new outfit she's creating, and he's like, "What's with the new outfit?" And she turns around and shoots him. So now we know this isn't Polaris. She has been possessed or brainwashed by somebody. Now we jump back to the X-Men, and they're at the airport saying their farewells to Professor Xavier, who is gonna go on vacation. And all of a sudden, they get ambushed by Havoc and Polaris. Now, at this time, the X-Men don't know that they're brainwashed, so they think everything is fine until they start getting attacked by them. And they're like, "What's wrong with you guys?" Right? Because they're thought to be good guys. So they're trying to target Professor Xavier. He's on a plane, and they blow up the wrong plane. And you hear in the comments, it says, "Oh my God, that could have been us," meaning it could have been Professor Xavier, but it's not. He was on the other plane. But still, this plane blew up, so a lot of people got hurt and killed that were in the plane, right? So total destruction. It's all bad right here, right? A Cyclops is fighting with his brother Havoc, who he does not want to fight with, but he knows something's wrong. He's acting out of pocket, right? Because he has been brainwashed, so this isn't like him. And Storm, she just goes crazy here. She goes, "You just killed a lot of innocent people and endangered a lot more." So she's in a rage right here. She gets pissed. She goes full blast. She uses all her power towards Polaris, nailing her, just totally knocking her out. This kind of puts an end to the fight because now Havoc stops fighting with Cyclops, and he says, "Oh, my girlfriend, Lorna Dane." He goes to save his girl, right? This happens, this new villain that we're introduced to called Eric the Red. He shows up. Turns out he's the one pulling the strings. He's brainwashing them. And Cyclops is like, "Eric the Red, this cannot be because I'm Eric the Red." Now, what Cyclops is referring to here is in a previous story arc, he dressed up in this costume and pretended to be a made up character named Eric the Red. Now it turns out there's a real one. Okay, so as this fight ends, Eric the Red here, we see him flying away with Havoc and Polaris. He says, "Eric the Red is anything but a fool." And Cyclops says, "Havoc, stop. Stop or I'll fire." And he has him in his sights. He does not fire. This creates friction between him and Wolverine because Wolverine says, "Blast him, damn it." Cyclops turns around and totally backhands him and knocks him off his feet. Now, at this point, Wolverine has been in 4 issues. So he's a fairly new character. And Cyclops is a much more established character at this point. And so they hadn't quite fleshed him out. Today's day and age, he would never tolerate that. But here he just gets slapped and does nothing about it, right? Because Cyclops is the leader. And we see on the next panel, we have Scott Lang. He's here overseeing everything through this monitor. So he's has something to do with this whole Eric the Red thing, I guess. Because on the side here, you see a red glove. Somebody wearing a red glove. Made things kind of interesting. This ending, like, oh, how is he involved in this, right? end of issue. So now we start on issue 98. Next issue, this would be around Christmas time. So it says the X-Men are usually like in Times Square around Christmas, and they're like celebrating, right? There's like a malls, and they do their shopping and whatnot. So they get time to just live normal lives. And what's interesting about this one though is that we have Wolverine, and then for the first time we're seeing him without a mask. And artist Dave Cockrum, he went with this crazy hairstyle that we all see as normal now for Wolverine, but at this time it was like, what the hell? Like, he has his hair all pointy on top, almost like a flat top, and some real long sideburns. It was a very odd choice, very different and unique though. But yeah, they're hanging out here and shopping and whatnot, right? And everybody's having a good time. Cyclops and Jean Grey are unwinding, and all of a sudden, boom! The Sentinels have returned. So Sentinels were in about the second or third issue of X-Men. They made their first appearance. They're probably the biggest threat to the X-Men. They're owned by like the government and stuff like that, right? So they're attacking the malls, and the X-Men are all fighting them off as best they can, and we get to see every character showcase his powers. And here we see Storm standing next to one of them, just so the Sentinel's towering over her, just so you can see how much bigger they are than the humans, right? And she just goes crazy here. The whole winds that she's bringing from the skies, she's creating something vicious as far as like a very strong weather storm, right? Almost like a tornado. And she's taking these Sentinels out. So she's been shaping up to be a very powerful character. Then we jump back to what Professor Xavier is up to. He's on his vacation, and the Sentinels just totally come out of the ocean right here. They say, "Professor, we've come for you." And I didn't know that the Sentinels could go underwater because they're robots. So I don't know how that works. I don't believe it was explained here. But nonetheless, we're just going to roll with it because it's comics, right? He comes out of the ocean like a shark or something, looking for Professor Xavier. We go to the next scene, and all the X-Men have been tied up. They're trapped. They're in some type of space shuttle or something here. And guess who's here? Scott Lang. This freaking bastard. I knew it. I knew he had something to do with this, because we showed him looking to that teleprompter in the previous issue. So he has brought the Sentinels back. They had been kind of debunked, right? And now he's brought them back because he has a lot of hate for mutants. So he brought back the Sentinel program. How he did it, I have no idea. I guess he has some juice with the government or some extra funds or something, right? All the X-Men are captured here. He's kind of explaining to them how he has created new and improved Sentinels. Jean Grey tells him he would never get away with this. So he just reaches back like a pimp and slaps her. Wolverine goes crazy. He escapes from the shackles that he had, and he just starts attacking Scott Lang. But Scott Lang runs like a coward, but he has a lot of henchmen. So Wolverine is just getting in fights with the henchmen, and now the Sentinels come in to protect them as well. So now he's fighting these Sentinels. So we're really getting to see how vicious Wolverine can be when he goes Berserker Rage. Although here the rage is a little more controlled. It's specifically aimed at Scott Lang. But we see they're not as powerful as Storm or Cyclops. He is still a force to be reckoned with, and we're kind of seeing this for the first time here, how he can lose his temper. And this happened because he saw Jean Grey getting hurt. Wolverine now helps the rest of the X-Men escape, and all hell breaks loose, right? We're going to have a whole showdown with the X-Men versus the Sentinels. It's a pretty awesome fight scene here. I do enjoy the artwork by Cockrum. It's pretty cool, but it does have some issues like here. Wolverine's arm looks kind of funky. Now the other half of the X-Men are still on Earth, being Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm, and Cyclops. And they want to get to space because they have now found out that the X-Men are in space and they've been captured by Scott Lang. There's this astronaut who's about to go to space. He helps them, right? So he's like, okay. And he volunteers to help them. So he's like, okay, I'm going to space on this space shuttle and whatnot. He brings them along with him. They're now going to space to help save the rest of the X-Men. Now that the rest of the X-Men have made it to space, they kind of even out the odds, right? Because now the X-Men are a little deeper and they could fight against these Sentinels. Cyclops wastes no time. He goes straight for Scott Lang. I don't know if he knows that Scott Lang had hit Jean Grey, but he goes straight for him because he knows he's the one responsible. And he just starts beating the crap out of him. I mean, mano a mano. He's not using his mutant powers or anything. And Scott Lang's face looks worse for wear. Definitely, Cyclops got the better of him right here. Now things go even crazier because now the original X-Men showed up. Angel, Beast, Cyclops against the new X-Men, Storm, Colossus, Wolverine, Nightcrawler. So this is an awesome picture here. It was completely confusing for me here. I was like, how the hell did these other characters get here? Turns out these were the new and improved Sentinels that Scott Lang was talking about. I thought he was talking about the actual big robot Sentinels. So these are robots, and Wolverine figures this out because he could smell, right? And he's like, these ain't human, these are machines. So he immediately attacks them, while the rest of the X-Men, they kind of hold back because they didn't want to hurt them. But once they see that it's exposed that these are robots, they easily take care of them. Now in this last issue, I really felt Cockrum's art got a lot more detailed and a lot better, and it even got a little bit like darker, right? It doesn't look so colorful and comic booky because this last piece of the story was a little bit more serious. While it had a lot of action, some dark stuff happens in the issue as well. And Scott Lang, he has so much hate for the mutants. He even included himself in the fight, having no superpowers, right? He got in this little spaceship he has, trying to gun them down. Cyclops shoots the spaceship, it loses control and crashes straight into the wall. And you see his face here, Scott Lang's, it looks real detailed, and he still looks all beat up, but it also has almost like a horror vibe to it on this panel. So he crashes, and we believe for him to be dead, right? Now that he's dead, we're still stuck in space. Guy Scott Lang that can drive it is dead. The X-Men want to know what can they do. There's an astronaut here, and she realizes, hey, I can get his memories and so forth, and I will learn how to fly this back home and save everybody. So we're giving her a very powerful scene. She's ready to sacrifice herself, right? She's gonna be driving the spaceship, but she's gonna be exposed to the air and stuff in space. And everybody here knows pretty much that that's what's gonna go down. And you see Storm, very emotional right here. She's giving Jean Grey a hug, saying her last goodbyes. Everybody is. So Wolverine right here is telling her, what are you trying to prove? That you're so noble or something? You don't have to prove anything. And she tells Wolverine, shut up. I'm trying to like you here, and I gotta get this done. So like Wolverine just keeps getting pushed around in this story arc. So she's the only one with the powers to do this. And you see Cyclops very emotional here, trying to stop her. And Nightcrawler is holding him. He's holding him because he knows this is what needs to be done. When she's driving this space shuttle, the art gets real funky. They use all kinds of colors, and this is in the 70s, so this looks very 70s, the colors and so forth. But it lets you know something's going on with her, not just mentally but physically, right? Because she's not meant to be in the atmosphere in space, and plus she's using a lot of her powers. Basically, she's carrying it with her powers because the shuttle doesn't work anymore. Wow, what a cliffhanger. We're gonna end the video right here. Hopefully you guys tune in for the next episode, because we definitely want to know what happens here going forward, because it ended in a very, very intense moment, how they're gonna get back home to Earth, right?